Imagine this. You're sitting on your porch one quiet morning, a cup of coffee in your hand, the sunlight just beginning to stretch across the sky. The air feels calm, but deep down, there's that little whisper. Something's always changing. Maybe it's the weather. Maybe it's someone you love growing a little older. Maybe it's you. That's what we're talking about today. Impermanence. The truth that nothing in life ever really stands still. And before we dive in, if you enjoy these quiet talks about life, take a second to subscribe. It helps the space stay alive, a place where we can breathe, reflect, and grow together. Now let's talk heart to heart. You see, everything you've ever touched, felt, or loved, it's all changing, even right now. That's not meant to scare you. It's just how life moves. Like a river, always flowing, never the same water twice. You watch a flower bloom, then fade. You laugh at a friend, and one day that friendship shifts. Even your body, the one you call home, is quietly transforming, cell by cell, moment by moment. Nothing stays the same forever. And maybe that's okay. Sometimes I think about it like this. Life isn't made of moments we can freeze. It's made of moments we can feel and then gently let go of. The old teachings say it simply. Everything arises, stays for a while, and fades away. Just like you came into this world, grew, and changed. Everything else does too. The joy you once had, that perfect afternoon, even the sadness that felt endless, they all passed, didn't they? And if they pass once, they'll pass again. I remember one summer a few years ago. I had this small garden behind my house. I used to watch a sunflower bloom every morning. One day I came out, and it had withered overnight. I felt this strange sadness, like I'd lost something precious. But then I noticed something. I'd spent weeks admiring that flower, and every moment it was changing, I just hadn't noticed. It was alive. It was moving through its own story, and I realized I wasn't supposed to keep it. I was supposed to love it while it was there. That's what impermanence really means to me. It's not about loss. It's about presence. We spend so much of our lives trying to hold on to people, to things, to feelings. We want the good moments to last forever, and we want the bad ones to disappear instantly. But the truth is, neither will stay. And when we fight that truth, we suffer. But when we accept it, something soft happens inside. We start to breathe easier. Maybe the relationship changed. Maybe the dream didn't work out. Maybe your reflection looks a little different this year. That's okay. It's all part of this gentle unfolding that we call life. Think about your emotions for a second. Have you ever felt really angry, like that fire inside was never going to burn out? But then a day later, maybe a week later, it faded. Or a time you were deeply happy, and even though you wish it could last forever, it slowly slipped away. That's not failure. That's life reminding us that everything is temporary. Everything is in motion. If you really let that sink in, something changes. You start to appreciate moments as they are, instead of trying to make them stay. You stop demanding that joy lasts forever, and you stop fearing that pain will never end. You begin to trust the flow, and maybe that's where peace starts. I like to imagine life as a song. Each note, each pause, each ending, it all matters. But no note stays forever. It fades so the next one can come. That's how life keeps its rhythm. Impermanence isn't cruel. It's what gives life its music. Because if nothing ever changed, there'd be no melody, no growth, no story worth living. So if you're going through a hard time right now, or you're afraid of something ending, maybe take a deep breath. This moment, as heavy as it feels, won't last forever. You're changing. The world's changing, and that's part of the beauty. It's not something to fight. It's something to dance with. And if you're in a season of joy, love it while it's here. Feel it fully, like sunlight on your skin, because that too will move, and that's what makes it precious. Every sunset, every laugh, every goodbye. It's life saying, keep your heart open. Don't hold too tight. So yeah, everything changes. But that doesn't mean we lose. It means we live. We get to keep falling in love with new moments again and again. That's the quiet miracle of impermanence. If this message speaks to you, if it feels like something your heart needed to hear, go ahead and subscribe so we can keep walking through these truths together. And maybe next time you notice a flower blooming or a moment slipping away, you'll smile and whisper to yourself, it's okay, that's just life moving on. Maybe life was never meant to be held so tightly. Maybe everything, the people we meet, the moments we love, the dreams we chase, was always meant to move, to fade, to change. You know, we often live as if things are supposed to stay forever. We fall in love and think it'll never end. We make plans and think tomorrow will come exactly as we imagine, but it rarely does. And that's okay, because impermanence isn't here to hurt us. It's here to remind us how precious this all really is. When you truly let that idea sink in, even the smallest things start to matter more. The sound of rain, the way sunlight touches your skin, that quiet laugh from someone you love, they all feel a little more alive. Because deep down, you realize they won't always be here. And maybe that's what gives them their beauty. Like the last few seconds of sunset or the final line of the song, their ending is what makes them unforgettable. You see, the problem isn't that things end. It's that we resist their ending. We cling, we hold, we wish for more. And in that holding, we forget to live. Sometimes, we even turn what was once beautiful into pain just because we can't let go. But if we learn to hold things gently, like a bird resting on our palm, we can feel the magic of their presence without trying to cage them. Impermanence doesn't take away what we love. It teaches us to love differently. It whispers, hey, enjoy this now. Don't wait, because one day you'll look back and realize that the moments you miss while worrying about the future were the very moments that made life worth living. So maybe tonight as you breathe, you can let go just a little. Let the noise fade, the thoughts settle. Let the heart rest. You don't have to fix everything. You don't have to make anything last. Just be here, right now, with everything that's still alive in this moment. And if this message feels like something your heart needed to hear today, maybe subscribe. Not for me, but for you, so that you can keep reminding yourself of the things that really matter, the ones that can't be held forever, but can still be deeply felt. Because life is short, love is fragile, and that's what makes it so beautifully real. You know, sometimes I think the hardest part isn't that things change. It's that we change along with them. The friends we once felt so close to, the places that used to feel like home, even the dreams we once held so tightly, they start to drift just a little until one day they don't quite fit the same anymore. And that can feel like loss, but maybe it's also growth. Maybe every ending is just life's gentle way of saying, you've outgrown this chapter, it's time to turn the page. We spend so much time trying to keep things the way they were, trying to freeze people in memories, hold on to how things used to feel. But life doesn't work that way. It keeps moving, always changing, always flowing. And the more we try to hold on, the more it slips through our fingers. Like saying, you hold it too tight, and it's gone. But when you let it rest softly in your hand, it stays for a while, warm and real. There's a quiet kind of freedom in accepting that nothing lasts forever. It doesn't mean you stop caring or that you give up. It just means you stop fighting what's natural. You stop demanding life to be something it's not. You begin to live with an open hand, not a closed fist. And when you do that, something beautiful happens. You start noticing the little things again. The smell of coffee in the morning, the laughter that fills a room, the silence that feels like peace, not emptiness. You realize these moments were never small at all. They were life itself. So if you're in a place where things are changing right now, if someone's left or something's ended, maybe it's okay to stop trying to make sense of it. Maybe the lesson isn't to understand, but to trust, to breathe, to know that life always has a way of unfolding exactly how it needs to, even when you can't see it yet. And as you sit with that, maybe take a deep breath and smile a little, because you're still here, still learning, still loving, still becoming. And that, my friend, is something to be grateful for. If this message finds a soft spot in your heart, go ahead and subscribe, not because it's the right thing to do, but because somewhere in these quiet words, you might keep finding a small reminder that you're not alone in this ever-changing world. There's a kind of peace that comes when you finally stop fighting the flow of life. It's not the loud kind, not the kind that comes with fireworks or big realizations. It's quiet, gentle, like the sound of waves at night. It's that moment when you stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start whispering, maybe it was meant to be this way. And you don't even say it with certainty, just a soft acceptance, like you're finally okay with not knowing. Because maybe that's what life really asks of us. Not to figure it all out, but to soften into what's already here. We don't need to have all the answers. We just need to be present for the questions. And sometimes that's enough. You see, impermanence isn't a punishment. It's a reminder that everything we touch, everything we love, every breath we take, it's all borrowed. And that's not sad. It's sacred. Because when you understand that something won't last, you start to treat it differently. You hold it with more care. You speak with more kindness. You look longer. You listen deeper. You love harder. And then one day, when it's time to let it go, you do it with gratitude instead of grief. You can smile through the tears because you were lucky enough to experience it at all. That's what impermanence teaches us, to love fully without needing forever. So maybe tonight, as you sit in the quiet, you can think about the people and moments that shaped you, the laughter that once filled your world, the lessons that came from heartbreak, the mornings you thought you'd never get through but did. They were never meant to stay. They were meant to move through you, to grow you, and they did. If your heart feels heavy tonight, let it be. It just means you cared deeply. It means you lived. Don't rush to feel better. Just breathe and let life do what's always done, move. And in that movement, maybe you'll find a little bit of healing. And hey, if these words bring you even a small sense of calm, maybe hit that subscribe button. Not for the algorithm, not for numbers, but so that next time you need a voice that understands, you'll find it waiting right here, whispering, it's okay, you're doing just fine. Sometimes it's in the moments when everything feels like it's falling apart that life is quietly rearranging itself for you. You might not see it now, but the things that slip away, the people, the plans, the certainties, they often leave space for something new, something softer, something more honest to grow. And maybe that's what impermanence really is. Not the loss of what was, but the opening for what's next. It's funny, isn't it? We're so used to chasing stability, trying to find something that won't change, someone who won't leave, a feeling that will stay. But if life stayed still, it would stop being life. Everything alive moves, breathes, shifts. Even the stars burn out. Even the ocean tides rise and fall. So maybe instead of searching for forever, we can start learning how to love the ebb and flow of it all. Because the truth is, not everything is meant to stay, and that's not something to mourn. Some people are meant to walk with us only for a few chapters. Some dreams are meant to carry us just far enough to find a new one. And some moments are so beautiful precisely because they end. When you start to see it that way, you stop clinging and you start cherishing. And maybe that's where peace begins, not when everything is perfect or secure, but when you finally make peace with change itself. You stop fighting the current and start trusting it. You let the waves take you where you're meant to go. It doesn't mean it won't hurt. It just means you know you'll make it through. So if today feels uncertain, if something you love is slipping through your hands, maybe whisper to yourself, "It's okay," because it is. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to stay open, stay kind, and let the world unfold around you. One breath at a time, one step at a time. And if this message feels like a quiet friend sitting beside you right now, then maybe subscribe. Not because you have to, but because it's nice to have a reminder like this waiting for you when life gets heavy again. A gentle voice that says, "You're not alone. You're growing. You're doing better than you think." You know, the more I think about it, the more I realize that maybe peace isn't something we find. Maybe it's something we stop fighting, because life, in all its unpredictability, was never meant to be controlled. We can plan, we can hope, we can love with everything we have, but at the end of the day, life moves in its own rhythm. And maybe the real art is learning to dance with it instead of trying to lead. There's this soft kind of wisdom that grows inside you when you start to let go. Not the cold kind that comes from giving up, but the warm kind that comes from trusting. You begin to see that not every ending is tragic. Not every goodbye means forever. Sometimes life just shifts direction. People come and go like seasons, and that's what keeps the world alive. When you stop resisting change, something beautiful happens. You start noticing how much light there still is. Even when things fall apart, there's always something left. A new morning, a kind word, a lesson you didn't know you needed. It's like life has this quiet way of healing itself, if you just let it. So if your heart's been heavy lately, if you've been missing someone or something that used to make you feel whole, maybe this is life's way of making room for a new version of you. The one who understands that being human means losing, growing, and loving all over again. And that's okay. You don't have to rush the process. Just breathe through it. Let it be messy. Let it be real. Maybe peace isn't about having things stay the same, but about finding stillness in the middle of change. Knowing that even when everything shifts, you're still you, and that's enough. And hey, if this little moment together feels like a breath of calm, maybe hit subscribe. Not as a habit, but as a way of saying yes. Yes to slowing down, yes to softness, yes to reminders that it's okay to not be okay sometimes. Because here, we'll keep walking through together, gently, honestly, one word, one breath, one heartbeat at a time. Maybe peace isn't the silence after the storm. Maybe it's learning to breathe during the storm, to feel the wind, the rain, the chaos, and still whisper to yourself, "It's okay." Because life won't always calm down for you, and maybe it doesn't have to. Maybe the real calm comes from inside, from that small space in your heart that refuses to give up even when everything else is changing. We spend so much time waiting for the right moment, the right relationship, the right job, the right time to start again. But what if there is no perfect moment? What if this, with all its uncertainty and imperfection, is the moment we were meant to live fully? Maybe peace begins when you stop waiting for things to be better and start finding beauty in the middle of what already is. Sometimes Life feels like a river. It pulls you forward, even when you want to stay still. You reach the shore, but the current keeps moving, and eventually you realize that fighting it only exhausts you. So you let go, you float, you trust that the river knows where it's going. And somehow, it always takes you somewhere new. Maybe not where you planned, but somewhere that feels a little more honest, a little more true. And you know what? You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to not have it all together. You're allowed to cry, to feel lost, to take a break from trying so hard. Because healing isn't about forcing yourself to move on. It's about giving yourself the grace to be where you are without judgment. Maybe that's what impermanence teaches best. That life doesn't owe us forever, but it always offers now. And now is enough. This breath, this heartbeat, this quiet space between thoughts. It's where peace lives. So if you've been carrying too much lately, maybe this is your reminder to loosen your grip, to trust that things will find their way. And if hearing these words feels like a small light in your evening, then maybe subscribe. Not because you need another channel, but because sometimes it's nice to have a voice that reminds you to slow down, breathe, and remember that everything, even the hard stuff, is just passing through. There's something strangely comforting about realizing that everything you've ever loved, lost, feared, or hoped for is just passing through, like clouds drifting across a wide open sky, some heavy with rain, some soft and glowing with sunlight. None of them stay, and that's what makes the skies so endlessly beautiful. Maybe life works the same way. Maybe what makes it so precious is that we don't get to keep any of it forever. We often tell ourselves that if we could just hold on a little tighter, maybe things wouldn't change. But life does respond to force. It responds to gentleness. When you stop trying to control how long something lasts, you finally start to see what it truly is. You start to notice the small details, the way someone laughs, the smell of morning coffee, the warmth of sunlight on your skin. You stop chasing permanence and start living presence. And maybe that's the secret. Learning to be here, right now, without needing this moment to become anything else. You don't need to fix it. You don't need to stretch it out. Just breathe in while it's here. Because someday, this too will be a memory you'll wish you could return to. It's strange how the more you accept that everything changes, the less afraid you become. You start to understand that endings aren't enemies. They're just transitions. Life isn't trying to take from you. It's trying to make space for what's next. And sometimes that means saying goodbye to something beautiful, so something different can begin. Not better, just different. So maybe the next time you feel something slipping away, you can whisper, "Thank you. Thank you for what it gave. Thank you for the time it stayed. Thank you for the lesson it left behind." Because nothing real is ever truly lost. It just changes shape, moves through time, becomes a part of who you are. And if you're still here, still listening, maybe you're someone who feels deeply, someone who's learned to let go and love anyway. So maybe subscribe, not out of habit, but out of connection. Because sometimes we all need a quiet place to come back to, a soft voice that reminds us that everything ends, and that's exactly why it all matters so much. Maybe, in the end, impermanence isn't something we have to understand. Maybe it's something we have to feel. You feel when you look at an old photograph and realize how much you've changed. You feel it when you drive past a place that used to mean everything. You feel it in the way people drift in and out of your life, leaving pieces of themselves behind in your story. And as much as it aches sometimes, there's a quiet beauty in that ache. It means you've lived, you've loved, you've been here. We spend so much of our lives trying to hold still in a world that's constantly moving. But maybe stillness doesn't mean freezing time. Maybe it just means being fully present as time moves through you. Like sitting by a river. You don't try to stop the water. You just sit with it, watching it pass, knowing that even though every drop flows away, the river itself remains. That's what you are, too. Not the things that come and go, but the space they pass through. And maybe that's where the peace begins. When you stop chasing the forever that doesn't exist and start falling in love with the fleeting moments that do, the laugh that fades, the sunset that melts into night, the song that ends too soon. When you really let yourself feel them, not cling to them, but feel them, you realize that life has been whispering something to you all along. You don't need forever to make it meaningful. You just need now. So, if your heart has been longing for something to last, maybe let it rest. Let it breathe. Maybe it's not about finding something permanent out there, but finding a softness within yourself, a way to stay open no matter what changes. Because when your heart learns how to stay open, even loss feels like love's shadow, still warm, still tender, still real. And if these words feel like they found you at just the right time, maybe late at night or during a quiet moment, maybe subscribe. Not because you need more noise, but because sometimes we all need a voice that slows down with us, that reminds us it's okay to let go, it's okay to change, and it's okay to keep loving even when everything else fades. Maybe this is what it all comes down to, learning how to live with an open heart in a world that never stops changing. We spend our days trying to make things last. The love we once had, the place we once called home, the person we used to be. But deep down, maybe the secret to peace isn't in holding on. It's in letting life flow through us like wind through an open window, gentle, honest, and free. When we finally stop fighting change, we start to see it for what it really is, a quiet teacher. Change shows us who we are underneath all the stories we tell ourselves. It teaches us to forgive, to loosen our grip, and to see the beauty in the spaces between beginnings and endings. When you lose something you thought you couldn't live without, it hurts, yes, but one day that pain becomes understanding. You look back and realize that every ending you've ever faced has secretly shaped the strength in your heart. And maybe that's what the Buddha really meant. Not that impermanence should make us sad, but that it should wake us up, because when you know nothing lasts, you start to live differently. You stop waiting for life to begin and start paying attention to the small moments, the morning light slipping to the window, a deep breath after crying, the sound of someone's laughter echoing down the hall. Those tiny moments, they're what real living feels like. If you ever felt like you were losing control, like the world was slipping away too fast, take this as your reminder that it's okay. You were never meant to hold everything together. You were meant to dance with it, to feel it, to let it change you. Life isn't asking you to be unshakable. It's asking you to be alive. So tonight, if you're sitting in the quiet, thinking about everything that's changed, maybe whisper this to yourself. I'm still here. I'm still breathing. And that's enough. Let that be your peace. Let that be your freedom. And if this message touched something in you, if it made you breathe a little deeper or remember something you've forgotten, maybe hit that subscribe button. Not for me, but for you. So you'll have a space to return to when the world feels heavy, a place where you can be reminded that impermanence isn't the end of beauty. It is beauty. It's what makes life real, fragile, and worth every second we get to live it.